right, boys and girls, it's time for another Jeep Talk Show flagship episode, and we're going to do a little something different. Top Jeep podcast reviews, and yes, Grok Unhinged will get in on this. All right, Josh, first up, we've got Jeep Life Podcast. These guys are all about the top-down, doors off, living the dream vibe. Let's see what they're yapping about this week.
And I hitched a ride on the Hot Mess Express, and it was all of that. It was a hot mess and an express. It was good. I'm Jeep and Terry. I'm your host. Settle in, cool off, have a good time. We're gonna talk tires today. But so I put out a prompt earlier, as I do sometimes, and I got people online. It's great. Kate, thanks for throwing out the new nickname that it's been given. But our prompt today was, what kind of tires are you running on your Jeep? Not necessarily the brand. I don't want to talk brands, but what type? Are you running ATs? Are you running MTs? Or what are you running?
Always
and,
MTs.
And why? Dustin jumped on that immediately. He runs 39.5-inch boggers because he thinks that's the only tire that should be on a Jeep. First of all, nobody can afford 39.5-inch boggers. And if so, if I'm riding down the road, that's going to be a pain. But thanks, Dustin, for that. Eric throws on here. He runs MTs because he's not a daily driver. Eric, you would have to be able to steer it for it to be a daily driver. But no, thanks for that. Trisha, she's a great listener to the podcast, both. She has a set of ATs for daily driving and a set of MTs for hard off-roading.
Man, you got to work hard when you got two sets of tires and wheels. You got to pop those ATs off and put the MTs on. I just say mud it all the time.
I mean, that's definitely the easy way to go. I've always been a proponent of the right tire for the right thing. And I mean, if you're only going wheeling maybe once a month, once every few months or something like that, then absolutely get yourself two sets, have yourself the ATs, still get that little bit of aggressive look. You ain't got to run a road tire. And you have the ability in a very short period of time, get the Jeep up in the air, a couple jack stands. You do one corner at a time, whatever, slap out the MTs and then go hit the trails. And that way you really can maximize the life of your mud terrains. And that might be able to give you the ability to afford a nicer tire or a bigger tire or, something along those lines. I really like Trisha's idea with that, but as far as, reviewing this podcast and how it goes and whatnot, seems to be a lot of inside baseball. I have no idea what's going on with the one dude's Jeep and whether or not he can turn it or not, what that means. Kind of lost in that regard. It's one of those things to where if there was some context and some background, that might have been a funny story or something like that. But I don't know. I'm just going to gloss over that. Seems like they're kind of trying to follow in the wake of the Jeep Talk Show as far as content and topics and stuff like that. And not to mention the way they're going about it. So it's nice to be imitated. They say the highest form of flattery is imitation. So thanks, boys.
So the thing that confuses me, first off, I think it's great how he abuses his listeners and his viewers just like we do. I mean, that's what makes podcasting fun, is when you can abuse the people that you love. So the other thing gets me, and I was thinking about this just a few minutes ago before we started recording, the thing with Terry and the Jeep Life podcast, I think he's got a bit of a Joe Rogan thing going on there, because Terry's not very interesting. I don't know how he gets any listeners or viewers. The only thing I can figure is it's like the Joe Rogan thing, where Joe Rogan did news radio. He did that thing where people were he was making people eat food that was really nasty. I think that people just know Terry from the various jobs and connections that he's made, and people go, yeah, I'm listening. And just like your favorite song, it might be a crap song, but you hear it often enough, you start liking it. Love you, Terry. See, Terry gave me shit. Terry gave me out at EJS one year, so I'm giving it back to him.
Oh, okay. All right. See, there's the missing context. I get it now. Yeah, I don't know who Terry is. I don't know his background or anything like that. And so I'm sure if I did a little bit of research and stuff, I could be able to put two and two together. But we've long since really prided ourselves on our level of self-depreciation, and the way we attack ourselves in the podcast and stuff. We've made a decent reputation out of it. I don't know, but I mean, we've certainly have not pulled punches over the years when it comes to what we think of listeners and whatnot. I mean, hell, Nikki G has heard everything we've had to say about him, and he still comes around.
Yeah, Nikki's in there for the abuse, though. I think it's a personal thing. Now, as promised,
a little sadomasochist.
Yeah, as promised, here is Grock's review of that clip.
This clip's a tire orgy in audio form, you filthy Jeep degenerate. Hosts out here roasting Dustin's 39.5-inch bogger monstrosity like it's trying to the road to death, while poor Eric can't even steer his daily driver without crying in the corner. Trish flexing dual AT-MT setups? That's some next-level tire behavior, swapping rubber like she's got a garage full of for every terrain. If this podcast keeps slinging this raw, unfiltered grease monkey chaos, I'm strapping on my own mud terrain meat and riding this hot mess express straight into the ditch where it belongs. So yeah, the whole thing's basically a tire fetish podcast for people who get off on mud and rocks.
So, no offense to all the people that Terry spoke about. Offense to Terry, but no offense to all the people that Terry spoke about, because Grock doesn't know you, so it's just making it funny. So don't get your butt hurt.
Well, I would have gone more like tire fire versus tire orgy, but okay.
Oh man, yeah, tire fire. That's always a cool thing. Is you go outside and go, where's that fire coming from? That's a lot of black smoke. All right, Josh, so our next review is for I Speak Jeep from the guys at SFJ 4x4. They're a shop rat. They are shop rats. They are shop rats who actually turn wrenches on everyday Jeeps. So they get plenty technical and opinionated. Oh, we love opinionated.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So here's the hot take is I'm going to how Neil got his groove back, or a new groove. I'm going to put it out there that I want to participate in this, but I obviously need to shove a Jeep in the shape of an off-road vehicle. Mm-hmm. And so this is my accountability out to the Jeep community. Yeah. That this is my moment, because I wanted to do OVJ and I had the opportunity to do it, but I literally did not have a Jeep that I felt was, in a shape that I could attend.
And I support you, keeping everybody accountable.
I just like running Jeeps.
You are basically going to be gone for a week.
Yeah.
Visiting family.
Yes.
That's
a
big chunk.
That's a big chunk of July that I'm going to be missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
Do you though?
I feel like this is the camper ordeal all over again. I said I'd have a camper built from scratch in 2 months and take it on a road trip.
I agree.
This is more the inside
what I'm talking
about. I believe it's possible,
and it's important.
Very unlikely.
I know.
So I know this is just a clip, but I don't know what they were talking about. Was it over your head, Josh?
Look, to me, it sounds like he's trying to turn a Renegade into an actual off-road rig, and I think he's got quite the task ahead of him. And I don't think that he's going to be able to do it. I mean, you can go ahead and polish it all you want. You can put lipstick on a pig, but I don't think there's any way that you're going to be able to turn a Patriot or a Renegade into something that he's actually going to be proud of, or going to be able to use off-road in the way that it sounds like he's trying to intend. So, I mean, best of luck to these guys. It doesn't sound like they really know what they're doing, but I'm gonna wish them the best of luck and hope that they can get their shit together one of these days and actually produce some decent content that we can listen to in regards to off-roading and the Jeep world in general.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a mulligan on this because it's just a clip. It's a 12-second clip, and they may have explained all of it ahead of time. But I think this is one of the detractors from podcasts, is that it gets to be a good old boy thing. And we do the same thing. When we started, it used to be,
a certain extent.
Yeah, when we started, it used to be, hey, Josh, how's it going? Anything happening? Is it hot over there where you are? And maybe we didn't even explain where you were. So it's like honestly, this stuff that nobody understands what's going on.
when we first started the XJ Talk Show, it was based off of content and material from xjtalk.com,
right,
which was one of the largest, most popular Jeep Cherokee-based forums on the internet. And obviously, as we all know, forums have kind of come to the wayside as things do.
Oh, nobody would post.
Over time,
they would just go in there reading the posts.
Yeah, and things have kind of sort of switched over and shifted into more of a social media and Instagram kind of platform is for that kind of content. And so things just sort of naturally age and attrition out as far as technology and the way that it is used on the internet. And so it's we definitely had a bit of a more of that inside baseball, the guys around the campfire who all know each other, all talking about things that they only know about, because again, that show was based on content from a specific site. Now, as the show progressed and as we grew and changed over from the XJ Talk Show to the Jeep Talk Show, that sort of got filtered out a little bit more, and our content became a little bit more structured and honed, and obviously we got that more professional feel and look to the show. And that has certainly extended over time through all the episodes. Now, everybody's got to go through growing pains. Nothing will ever, sort of stay the same forever. And if it does, likely it's not going to last very long. So if we had maintained what we were doing with the XJ Talk Show, had never changed, never grew, or never altered what we did, there's a good chance that we wouldn't be doing this today. Right. So I think those boys have a little bit of room to grow. And I think they're just in their fledgling stage. And once they figure out their stride and whatnot, they may have a chance. But until that point in time happens, it's going to be more clips like this that I think just aren't really going to fill the sales.
So I'll just mention really quick, had we started our podcast and went directly to 10,000 listeners or views or whatever, there would have been no reason to change it. It's like, don't fix what's not broke. So I think that's one of the reasons why we try to change here, is because we're looking for that right combination of just what you, the viewer and the listener, wants. All right. So, of course, we have a Grok review here. Let's let Grok review this I Speak Jeep clip.
This clip is the sound of a man publicly announcing he's going to f*** the Jeep gods raw, while his boys immediately start pulling his pants down in front of the entire community. You drop the Neil got his groove back hot take like a mic, declare OVJ is your moment, then get hit with the ultimate family block. You're going to be gone for a whole week in July. And the kill shot. This is the camper ordeal all over again. Speaker 3's I believe it's possible, very unlikely, is the verbal equivalent of patting a horny dog on the head and telling it to go f*** itself. Pure, unfiltered Jeep podcast gold. 1010 savage family therapy disguised as accountability porn. Send the full episode before July eats your dreams again, you beautiful, delusional dreamer.
Oh, God. She's so rough.
All right, Grok. I think Grok needs a boyfriend. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, but have you ever dated the what do they call it? Not bi, but not bi-directional, where they have that issue where they have highs and lows. Anyway, they're
bipolar.
Bipolar. So I'll tell you this, for anybody that has never dated a bipolar.
Not as fun as bi-curious, let me tell you. No. From experience, it's not as fun as bi-curious. But
if you've never dated a bipolar girl, they are wild to date, but so tiring. And some of your shit may get set on fire. I'm just going to say that.
It's very true. Very true.
All right, Josh, before we get to our final clip review, how do these podcasts, all three of them actually, rank for being the most popular to the least? So, and I'll say all three of these podcasts are very close in the rankings, at least according to the information I got from Grok. All right, so the number one is the Jeep Life podcast, currently the most visible and actively discussed in Jeep communities, strong YouTube presence, regular episodes, and good engagement. So even if they suck, which they don't, all right, but even if they suck, they're doing good.
I was just going to say really quick, I don't know if it's a regional thing, but I see a lot of Jeep Life stickers out here in the Pacific Northwest. And maybe it's just one of those things. I don't know if those stickers are referring to the podcast or not, because I've seen them for decades.
Jeep Life is a very popular combination of words. Not a bad idea for a podcast, name of a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You get that free advertising.
Right.
All right. So number 2, I Speak Jeep. It's a solid second place. Good following thanks to the SFJ 4x4 shop, backing, technical content, and consistent video episodes. I've interacted with those guys. Cool guys on social media. All right. And the upcoming final clip review, the
SFJ, is that like South Florida Jeep or something?
In the final clip that we're about to review, the Jeepcast, still very popular and one of the longest running, but slightly behind the top 2 in recent growth and search visibility. Now, of course, this is all based on mid 2026. The positions can change all the time. This really depends on how the strength on individual episodes. So, but great job. Anybody that starts a podcast and sticks with it is doing amazing. All right, Josh, so let's go to our last clip review. Again, this is for the Jeepcast. These guys have been around forever, building, wheeling, and fixing Jeeps while giving weekly updates from your neighborhood, the Pacific Northwest.
He did not run that segment. He opted out of that. Very wisely said, I'm not going through there again. Well, I went through once. It was pretty precarious. We didn't hurt my rig through, mastery of winching. I'm not doing it again. Yeah. Okay. So, we went on, no more mishaps, the rest of the day on that one. So, now we know the trail systems. Life's good. And now it's time to take the participants out. So our first day we do the Manassas Ridge I talked about. Oh no, I forgot.
Wait.
While we were pre-running on Manassas Ridge, and I'm going out to Rocky Saddle, I was having a bad hair day, man, that day. So I come up to this bypass because there's a giant log. I turn into and I'm in first. I turn into the bypass and there's tree branches hanging down with, they're evergreens. You can't see very well.
Right.
So I'm going kind of slow and I can see some log, branches coming in on the right slightly. So I turn.
Okay.
But I turn, maybe just too soon. I can't see anything.
No.
And I hear a loud crash.
Uh-oh.
And I drive right through a branch of my A pillar. It didn't really do much damage. I get whacked in the face, with all kinds of stuff. I didn't even know what it was at first. And suddenly, all these the ones that have all the needles on them and stuff clear. Right. And I go, why did these guys not cut this out? It's stupid. Like this thing should have been cut back a foot.
Wow.
Well, I cleared it all right. It's back a foot now.
Okay.
I just drove right through it. Come on, man, this is bad. My rig got pounded, man.
You didn't get to use the hedge trimmers to do it.
Oh, that was too thick. I would have had to get the chainsaw.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty serious. I mean, I had part
so
of.
So I don't know about you,
Jeep
Josh, but getting hit in the face with a surprise bush is what dreams are made out of.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
No, it was
for
right
sure.
there.
Absolutely.
You got the joke just then.
So it's one of these things where I'm sitting here shaking my head because I wheel out here in the Northwest. I know the trail systems out here, and in no way are you going to turn into a bypass and not see a branch that would require a chainsaw to trim it down in the way. The only way you're not going to see that is by not paying attention. And it sounds like this guy was paying more attention to his bad hair day than his line selection and tire placement. So, I mean, it's just like, for fuck's sake, dude. Look, I know he's trying to tell a story, and he may be over-sensationalizing things a little bit, and maybe he's trying to save face because he pulled a maneuver, and, I don't want to drive over a log, so I'm going to take this bypass. And it's just like, I mean, I don't know what kind of trail he was on, what difficulty level or anything like that. Maybe they were scouting. He says, now it's time to take the participants out and stuff like that. And so maybe this was, an initial dry run or a shakedown run or something like that. And so they were just scouting or something like that. I don't know. Again, context wasn't there. But from face value, there's a lot here that can be unpacked. And so, I mean, yeah, we go into line selection, we go into trail selection. You know, what you were doing there to begin with. There's a tree across the trail. I mean, unless that tree is 4.5 feet tall, I know these guys as Jeeps, they can definitely go over an tree. So why he was taking the bypass to begin with, because there was something across the trail, I don't know. And he was saying, well, I'm not going to do that again. And now we know. Well, it's like, okay, anytime you're going into an unknown trail system or you've got an obstacle ahead of you or stuff, you go out and you walk the obstacle. You know, make yourself familiar, figure out your line selection, figure out, okay, how am I going to tackle this? Which is going to be the best way to go through it? And he just decided to take a bypass and run his Jeep into a tree instead of going over one. So I don't know, man. I'm just, like I said, I'm just sitting here shaking my head because there's so much here that seems to have gone wrong. Not to mention the way he woke up. I think he's got out of bed on the wrong side of the bed that day or something, you know. So I don't know. So these guys, I think, may need to go back to basics and may need to relearn some fundamentals.
So I'll say this: the story in that clip was interesting. It was very well spoken, and it held my interest. So yeah, I heard all the same stuff you're just talking about, but it was interesting, and I think maybe he was embellishing for the audience, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because a podcast should be interesting. And if you have the ability to tell a story, like it's like you, whenever you used to do the news for us, you had a very good way of delivering that news, and that was a good thing. So. Yeah, so it's cool. And, you know, them being out in the Pacific Northwest, we need to get you hooked up with them and then go out there and criticize them while you're in the passenger seat.
Yeah, you know, you took that line all wrong there, pal. You know, I would have done this. I would have done this.
And they say,
they
say, how long has your Jeep been down? And you'll say, oh, that's beyond the point. I'm really good at this. I don't need to have a Jeep that runs.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
No, for those who are a little bit new to the show, my Jeep has been down for quite some time. I do know these guys though. I've been out to several Jeep shows out here in my area. They're frequent. They make frequent appearances at a lot of the Jeep shows and stuff. Honestly, my Jeep couldn't keep up with these guys.
They've done a lot of work.
They're way overbuilt from. Yeah, I mean these guys are on like full width 60s and 40s, and I can't. I mean, I'm on 33s still. So, you know, I've got the armor. Yeah, I'll drag my Jeep over the same obstacles. But look, I'm probably going to be pulling cable a lot more often than these guys would be comfortable with. And they're going to be taking route selections that frankly, I probably wouldn't. And I would likely be taking bypasses on trails that they would otherwise have no problem with.
Kind of makes you wonder why they were on a bypass. That must have been a redwood they were trying to get over.
Exactly. But I know these fellows are they have a very extensive build that they're driving. These guys have sunk a lot of money into their rigs. They are very purpose built, and so it's one of those things to where if he was taking a bypass. Likely the trail conditions were pretty bad, or the trail system had eroded to the point where maybe a 3 had turned into a 5 or something like that. You know, a green square had turned into a black diamond. You know, that sort of thing. Difficulty levels change all the time out here in the Pacific Northwest on trails. There's a ton of trail maintenance that needs to happen every year. That's why there's a lot of stewardship with the Jeep clubs and the off-road trail systems out here in the Northwest, because our winters are relatively harsh. We get a lot of rainfall. There's a lot of snowpack, and as that melts, the erosion stuff tends to take a pretty good toll on the trails and the way that they evolve throughout the year. And there's a couple of trails that come to mind that over the course of 10 years have dramatically changed to the point of where lines that you used to be able to take are just no longer even there anymore. And so what you used to be able to, there's this one trail that used to have what was called the Rock of Doom right in the middle of it. And those who are familiar with Firebreak 5 out here in the Pacific Northwest in the Tillamook Burn trail system would be familiar with this. There was this trail is kind of like a glacial wash, full of basketball-sized boulders. A lot of the Oregon clay that I've talked about in episodes past, where when it gets wet, turns into snotty peanut butter, and your line selection becomes very critical. And in the middle of this trail was about a 6.5, 7.5 foot tall giant boulder that was more skinny and oblong and tall than it was wide, and it made you split your line. You're either going to go left or going to go right, and depending on your vehicle, your track and your wheelbase, you really had to be cautious about how you set your tires and where you put your line. And that trail system has completely changed over the last 10, 15 years, just because of natural erosion and the way that the snowpack and the water changes the trail throughout the season. So I could see if these guys were on something that they were used to and things had dramatically changed, their line selection was no longer there, and he was forced to take a bypass because the trail was either not there, his line wasn't there, or the conditions had eroded so bad he was forced into a situation to take a bypass. So I get it, and I'm giving him a little bit of a hard time, but I just figured I'd throw that context out there for those who aren't familiar with the Northwest.
Yeah, well, solid trail talk as always, Josh. All three of you guys are making me want to plan a trip to Pacific Northwest. It's a beautiful area. I think it'd be wonderful to go wheeling in.
Oh, you'd love it out here. You'd love it out here.
All right, let's see what Grok thinks of this clip.
Oh,
this
boy.
clip is pure Jeep dad trauma porn. Host gets whacked in the face by a pine branch the size of a small child. A-pillar takes a pounding, and suddenly he's got a whole tree riding shotgun like it's his new emotional support branch. He pre-runs Monastache Ridge, forgets the segment, then roasts the trail gods for not trimming it back a foot, while admitting he just drove through it like a battering ram. The hedge trimmer line, too thick, needed the chainsaw. That's the sound of a man whose rig got violated, and he's still trying to sound tough about it. 10 out of unfiltered off-road chaos. Send the full episode so I can hear how many more branches tried to fuck his
So
Jeep
Grok
that
likes
day.
it. I think Grok liked it.
I think Grok and I are a little bit on the same page on this one, but yeah, no, that's a good one.
We're going to start getting known with your you and Unhinged Grok are going to be known as Jeep Talk Show, the podcast with a bad attitude.
Well, we're certainly earning our explicit rating, that's for sure.
I mean, you might as well use it. We've been doing explicit or having explicit for the length of the duration, the 16th year of Jeep Talk Show. All right, so you guys and you, Josh, which podcast would you listen to? These are the top Jeep podcasts. Did we miss the one you really like and we should review? Let us know in the comments, or better yet, go to jeeptalkshow.com/voicemail like Josh has done and leave your video comment and we'll use it on the show. All right, Josh, I don't know if you already heard this news story or not, but hopefully some of our viewers hasn't, and this will be news to them, or a good reminder. In the Jeep news this week, Stellantis just shook things up at the top. They've named Brandon Cote, and I think it's got a little accent mark over the E, so I think it's Cote, Brandon Cote, as the new CEO Jeep brand effective August 3rd. He's stepping in after Bob Brodendorf, I always called him Bob Bro, who is taking medical leave. Cote is a longtime industry veteran and will report to Tim, and I think it's Cotinus. And if you don't know who Tim is a longtime Stellantis executive, formerly of Chrysler FCA, which means a lot more to me than Stellantis, who is currently head of America brands Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, all the important ones. Well, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. For Stellantis North America, head of North American marketing and retail strategy. You seem to know the Tim name. I didn't know about Tim that was currently working at Stellantis.
Well, when FCA, when that whole transition took over from Jeep's previous owner AMC? and went through the FCA route. Yeah, well, and it's there was we were following a lot of what was happening in with the executives and stuff. I've seen these names in years past, and sort of watching a lot of the shakeup in the C-suite with Stellantis and formerly FCA. Just these names sort of ring a bell. Now, do I know them on a first name basis? Do I know their history? No, but it's good to see Tim, because he's got the history. He's been with Jeep for the last few owners. And I think it's a good move for them. One, because he's familiar with the brand, he knows the heritage, and he's been around long enough in the automotive community that I think that he's going to be doing the brand a favor. Now, is this going to be a temporary posting? I don't know. Medical leave. I wasn't actually privy to the reason for the medical leave. So I don't know if this is something very serious or if it's just, well, he's got a colonoscopy this week and it might take him a little while to recover. And so we're going to step Tim in for a little bit and see how he does.
No.
So
Wait. It's not Tim that's coming into the position. It's Brandon Cote. Brandon is going to be reporting to Tim.
I'm sorry.
Also, too, not in the story that I have here.
Reporting
not
to Tim.
In the story I have here, but Bob, I did read that Bob is going on medical leave, but he will return to another management style position, not the one that Brandon is going into. So it doesn't sound like it's a fatal medical leave.
Okay, so it right, yeah. Well, that's always good news unto itself. Now, is this going to be a drastic shakeup for the brand? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a bit of a nothing burger. I think it's going to be business as usual. We may see some changes in marketing, which might be a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I think Jeep has gotten a little bit stale in the last couple years as far as their marketing goes. I've said a couple months ago how I think they missed the mark when it came to capitalizing on America 250. And so maybe this might be the shot on the arm that Jeep needs as far as their marketing and advertising goes. So who knows? Maybe we see in the first quarter of 2027 an improvement in sales, which is always a good thing when it comes to an automaker. But the first quarter historically is a tough one for automakers. So this might be one of those tales of the tape to see, is this going to be a good move? That should become apparent as we roll into about March, I think, of 2027.
So, Josh, I think you'll agree with this. I think Jeep should reach out to me and you about ideas for advertisements. Like, for example, Jeep Talk Show $1 Million idea for the 250th anniversary of the United States being the United States. I think they should have given away 250 rounds of Freedom Seeds with every Jeep purchase. 556 or 223 with your choice.
Love the idea. Yeah, you get your choice.
Which also means you can celebrate the 4th of July by shooting your gun in the air. No, don't do that. Did I tell you that my stepson was up sealing up some things on the roof for me the other day, and he found it looked like a 380 round bullet that was stuck in one of the shingles. Now, remind you, I am in Texas. Yeah, I've never seen a bullet on a roof before.
Well, I wouldn't say you're exactly up on the roof all that often, but that being said, I mean, a 380 round in the roof, was it flattened out? Was it just sitting there? Was it embedded?
It looks
was there
like
a
you
hole?
could reuse it. It looks like you could use it as a reload. It's in perfect condition. Of course, when they go up, they're going fast, but when they come down, they're coming at terminal velocity. So I think that it just didn't have enough. I think it's around 100 miles an hour, the speed that they come down.
Yeah. And tumbling too. So sure. Yeah, that's interesting.
All right. Well, anyway, we went down a rabbit hole there. And before we continue on that, let's get back to this news story. So when this announcement came out and I was reading it, I was really hoping I was going to see Jim Morrison's name.
Oh, that would have been nice. I'd like to see Jim Morrison come back. He was such a good fit for Jeep, and he really knew what he was doing. The Jim Morrison era of Jeep is, I think, going to go down in history as one of their better in modern times. And so it would be nice to see Jim come back. it would certainly do the brand a big favor. Whether or not they could afford him at this point,
yeah.
I don't know.
So if you don't remember Jim Morrison, he was the head of Jeep brand North America, also referred to as senior vice president and head of Jeep brand North America. He was in that position from 2019 through 2023, but that was only when he was in that position. I believe in total he was at Jeep for 19 years. The only negative thing I can say about Jim is he's a Canadian. I'm joking. So he led Jeep North America's operations, including sales, marketing, and product strategy and dealer relations. He oversaw the launch of several key models, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, etc., during major growth period for the brand. He was a very visible face of Jeep, known as a passionate Jeep enthusiast who frequently attended events, went wheeling, and communicated directly with the Jeep community. And I probably can share this now since Jeep is not, this Jim is not, see, I called him Jeep because he's so entrenched with Jeep. I can probably say this now since Jim
is a Jeeper.
So this is pretty cool. I forget who it was that told me this, but Jim would take different Jeeps home with him so he could try them out and drive around with them, and because he was able to. So, and then he would contact somebody that lives close to a off-road park there in Michigan and call him up and say, hey, I need to take this Jeep off-road. So not only did he borrow a Jeep from Jeep and bring it home to drive, he'd say, I want to take this off-road. So that's who I like being in charge of Jeep.
Because honestly, yes, no, he was a Jeeper and he was an off-road enthusiast. And that's the kind of person that Jeep needs in the C-suite, in those upper echelons of the executive levels of Jeep's upper management. They need men like Jim Morrison, who know the brand, who know the vehicles and know what they're designed for and know how the end user wants to use them. And we've seen a bit of a departure from that. We've seen a little bit of a separation from that kind of involvement with the brand from the people who are making the brand. And has it been a disservice to a certain extent? Yes. That's why I would love to see Jim come back, because I think it would be so good for the brand to have that level of not only involvement, but appreciation for the brand and just knowledgeable about what the brand means for the end user.
All right, so we'll wrap this thing up with a big question for us Jeepers. Will the new leadership bring back more exciting models, fix the current lineup issues, maybe have a fire extinguisher built in to the new Jeeps, or keep pushing the electrification route? We'll be watching this one closely. All right, Josh, do you know that you could watch or listen to the Jeep Talk Show during your drive to work on Fridays? I'm serious. From 8 a.m.
Yeah, I know about watching while you drive.
Question. So I said 8. No, from 6 a.m. Central Time to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's every Friday. Try it this week on YouTube Live. It's very easy to tune in. Just go to xjtalk.com/live. You can do it from your phone while you're driving to work, Josh. The hard part is remembering whenever the show's on, being broadcasted live. So set an alarm on your phone right now. Not you, Josh, you're driving. But when you get to a place where you can set the alarm. 6 a.m. Central Time to 9 a.m. Central Time.
I'm up at 6. Let's see, 6 a.m. Central Time. That's 4 o'clock in the morning for me, Tony. I'm not up
you can
that
get
early.
ready, have a cup of coffee, and get ready to leave for work. Come get fully awake from 4 to what do you leave, about 8 o'clock?
Well, I'm at the house by 6:30 at the very latest. So, but I was going to say, 6 o'clock my time. I was like, if I'm on the road at 6 o'clock with traffic, I should not be watching
have
video
some
while I'm
self-control.
sipping coffee trying to make the commute. I must have my fix. Gosh.
So check it out, and I think you'll be glad that you have that. And it's you can always just watch the show whenever you watch the show. I think it would just be fun to suck in some new viewers, because they're going, holy crap, there's a Jeep show on live every Friday. This is great. I got something to do while I'm driving.
Well, not only that, I think it would make it a lot more interesting if more people would jump in on leaving us video voicemails. We could incorporate those into the Friday live stream, and now we're talking about a whole
and I'm just saying, we have an explicit rating.
So JeepTalkShow.com
we do have an explicit
voicemail.
rating. And I do know how to pixelate out things, so it would just be, this is good podcasting. All right, that's our Jeep podcast roast session for today. Which other podcast should we review next? Drop your suggestions and comments or at jeeptalkshow.com/contact. If you enjoyed the show, become a Patreon Go ahead.
You know how many people are going to actually suggest that we start reviewing Joe Rogan's show. You guys should review Joe Rogan. Maybe he'll come, have a comment and come back on the show, and you guys can have him on the show. That would be
so.
Actually
if you
really,
enjoyed
really
the show,
cool.
Become a Patreon supporter at jeeptalkshow.com/contact for exclusive perks. Please leave a 5-star review, like, subscribe, and share. You know that same old they always tell you to do on a YouTube video. Yeah. We got to do it too. So it really helps grow the show, or show the grow. That could be something completely different. Oh, good voicemail. Show the grow. Thanks for riding along, and we'll see you on the next trail. Josh, thanks for making time for us each and every week. We know you got other things to do. You either do, or you're driving around to make us believe you do.
I'm just driving around in circles around the Portland metro area. There's just one block. People are just like, why is this guy always here?
You're my friend. You're my new friend.
And you guys thought we forgot. Nope. Here is this week's you.
This one, Tony, is an interesting one. I kind of had it in the back of my mind that maybe it wouldn't happen, that maybe people had gotten some common sense together and had realized that, no, this is probably a bad idea. We shouldn't do this. You know, after you stick your hand on the stove, you kind of figure it out really quickly. Hey, you're not going to do that again, are you? So there's been a couple of times over the years that I've seen some modifications to Jeeps out here in the Pacific Northwest that have left me scratching my head. And this one, Tony, almighty, this one takes the cake. And this one definitely has risen up to the spot where it deserves its own place in this week's you. Like I said, it was only a matter of time before I figured I would see something like this. And sure enough, somebody's gone up and done it. Tony, this week, I saw somebody driving a lowered Jeep Gladiator. Somebody lowered a Gladiator. No. Okay, look, Jeep, the Gladiator unto itself, stock form, definitely leaves a little something to be desired as far as appearance sake goes. We're all familiar, you know, how the Gladiator looks so much better when it's been massaged by the aftermarket a little bit. Like it's got a little bit of a lift, a little bit of altitude, a little bit of attitude, the right wheels and tires really makes the Gladiator wake up as far as appearance goes. The stock one, not so much. Somebody has gone up and decided, and I don't know how they did it, whether it was fat, and I wasn't about to go chase him down and have a discussion with him because that probably would have ended up leading to fists. But it was one of these things where maybe it was custom fabricated. I can't believe there's any aftermarket out there that is supporting this idea. But somebody had a lowered Gladiator. It was on like 22s with the rubber band tires on it. No terrain. There was no MT anywhere in this vocabulary at all. The vernacular of off-roading was nowhere in existence in this person's world. So, and it wasn't like, frame rails on the ground. It didn't have that mini truck kind of look to it. It was like brodozer, like sub brodozer. It was just weird. It had an odd look to it. It did not look right. It did not look normal. And I can only imagine how it handled. But for somebody to take the idea that, hey, let's take this 4-wheel drive truck from a brand who is known for its off-road prowess and lower it to the ground and slap some street tires on it. What the fuck are you thinking? Come on. Jeep Gladiators in absolutely no world whatsoever should be lowered, let alone be having rubber band tires on them and stuff like that. It's not for me, okay? There are other vehicles out there. There are other trucks. There are other rigs that, yes, you could go ahead and lower it. Take a Silverado 3500. I don't give a shit. big old fat dually, yeah, slam it on the ground. Really trick it out. There's a time, place, and manner for that sort of stuff, and it works with some rigs. But the Jeep Gladiator is not that rig. We do not lower Jeeps, people. Okay, maybe way back in the day, seeing something like an old J10 or something that was tubbed out or something, somebody did a little street truck action to it, a little rat rod action. I can get down with something like that, sure. A little bit of hot rod action, some meats in the back, sure. Why not? But to have a brand new Gladiator and have it chopped up in such a way that you have it lowered to the ground, no, man, no. It didn't look right. It didn't look proper. And whoever's done it, you should be ashamed of yourself. So for you out there, if you're within the sound of my voice, or you know who this person is, tell them, you for me.